Have you been curious about ChatGPT and how writers are using it? Stick around to learn what ChatGPT is, how it can help you write, and some concerns you should keep in mind. Hi, I'm David Peterson, and I've got angst. Welcome back to Believe in Your Story, where I share some of the writing challenges I've faced and how I've dealt with them. Today, we're going to talk about ChatGPT. What is ChatGPT? ChatGPT is a computer program that has been trained on vast amounts of text, like books, articles, and websites. It can learn to understand the patterns and structures of human language so it can generate new sentences or even whole paragraphs that sound like something a person might say. Think of it like a really smart robot that has read every book and article on the internet and can use that knowledge to answer any question you might have or even write a story or article from scratch. ChatGPT is incredibly powerful because it can understand the nuances of language that other computer programs struggle with. It uses natural language processing and machine learning techniques to understand and generate human like responses to text based conversations. How does ChatGPT work? You can ask ChatGPT a question, and it will use its vast knowledge base to generate an informative and relevant response. You can have a conversation with ChatGPT on a particular topic, and it will generate responses that are appropriate to the context of the conversation. You can use ChatGPT to generate creative writing, such as a poem or a short story based on a given prompt. You can use ChatGPT to translate text from one language to another. You can use ChatGPT to rewrite sentences and paragraphs. Different ways ChatGPT can help you write. Idea generation. If you're struggling to come up with ideas for a new project, and who doesn't, you can ask ChatGPT for prompts or suggestions to get your creative juices flowing. It can generate writing prompts, suggest topics to write about, or provide inspiration from various sources. For example, I asked ChatGPT to provide a list of topics for future YouTube videos. Writing tips for beginners, the importance of plot and structure, that's good. How to handle criticism and rejection in writing. Throw things at the wall? I should probably avoid that one. Editing and revision. ChatGPT can help you edit and revise your draft by providing feedback on grammar, style, tone, and readability. It can highlight potential errors, suggest improvements to sentence structure, and even recommend synonyms to enhance the writing. I asked ChatGPT to rework this wordy sentence. I really appreciate when people read my books and leave reviews because it encourages me to write more stories that I can share for them to read. Okay, so the first response was also long and quite formal, so I asked ChatGPT to make it more concise. I appreciate readers who review my books, as it motivates me to write more stories for them to enjoy. Research assistance. ChatGPT can search through a vast database of information to provide relevant and somewhat reliable information on various topics. I asked ChatGPT what items would I need to survive in the Arctic. The suggestions included layered clothing, insulated gloves, a four-season tent, insulated sleeping bag, of course, high-calorie foods, bring donuts, got it, first aid kit, fire starting tools, definitely a must. Insulated flask. I'd need more than one flask. Writing assistance. ChatGPT can generate writing in response to prompts or offer suggestions for particular aspects of writing, such as dialogue or descriptions. I asked ChatGPT to explain what would happen if a spaceship crashed in the Arctic. The impact of a spaceship crashing in the Arctic would largely depend on a few factors, such as the size and speed of the spaceship, the angle at which it entered the Earth's atmosphere, the material composition of the spaceship, and whether or not it exploded upon impact. Boom. However, here are some potential outcomes of such an event: crater formation, explosion, debris field, environmental impact. Could the spaceship give me superpowers? The idea of a spaceship crash giving someone superpowers is a common trope in science fiction and comic books. However, in reality, this is highly unlikely. I'd just like to point out that highly unlikely means it could still happen. Really, though, while some of the answers might be obvious, how many different websites would you normally visit to gather this much information? What are the downsides to using ChatGPT? Accuracy. What would happen if ChatGPT read my blog at djpwrites.com and I had posted, David Peterson is in the process of writing an encyclopedia, David Peterson is getting younger every day, about time, and everything you read and watch on the internet is true? With that in mind, ChatGPT is trained from books, articles, and online content. Depending on what you ask ChatGPT, the responses could come from inaccurate or biased material. Any research you do using ChatGPT should be verified because it may not be accurate. Similar answers. If two people ask ChatGPT the same question, it's possible they will get the same response. OpenAI uses the example, "What color is the sky?" You can assume that the response is always blue. It begs the question, how unique are the other responses? Privacy. Things you type in OpenAI are not private. According to the privacy policy, we at OpenAI respect your privacy. Funny because it's hard to believe as you read on. When you use our services, we collect personal information that is included in the input, file uploads, or feedback that you provide. We may provide personal information to vendors and service providers, including providers of hosting services, cloud services, and other information technology service providers, email communication software, and web analytics services, among others. You know, others. Plagiarism. ChatGPT doesn't have unique ideas. If you ask it to write a story about a horse, it creates that story based on information the software has collected from the internet. While the app doesn't duplicate text, it's still rewriting someone else's hard work. Will ChatGPT steal jobs from writers? Yes. And it's a big reason there's a writer strike going on at the time of this video. Movie studios have stated they already use or plan to use AI to write scripts. Hey, 2022 was a slow year at the box office, and the top 6 studios only made $9 billion in profits. So you can understand why they would want to cut costs, right? Right? Anyone? Anyone? My advice is, if you use it wisely and warily. ChatGPT can be great for writing prompts, brainstorming, and restructuring sentences. Just realize that someone else might read your conversation with ChatGPT. A final note: ChatGPT is an impressive tool that responds to your requests. And let me repeat that: it responds to your requests. It will never write your story. ChatGPT does not wake up in the middle of the night to make notes about a great book idea. It doesn't have a passion for writing or put itself out there once the book is done. It's a computer program. You're a writer. I encourage you to give ChatGPT a try so you're aware of its features and limitations. You can set up a free account on chat.openai.com. If you've been using AI to help you write, we'd love to hear more. Please consider leaving a comment below. Now, go write your book and believe in your story.